Is it time to press the panic button? I'm not liking how things are going here, and let's give a big get well soon to TJ Brodie here. This and more as it's time for another episode of Hey there, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel here, and it's time for another episode of my Calgary Flames in 6. I'm in Season 2. This is Episode 5 here, and I'm going to have to say, since I've been doing this, this is probably going to be the worst segments recap episode in terms of production and what has happened other than the brief cameo we had in the playoffs last season. And you know what, you gotta wonder what's happening with the Flames here. I mean, last year around this time we were starting to pick things up, and I had to throw out the question, are we Stanley Cup contenders? Now, is this team good enough to make the playoffs? That's the question here. And also the fact that I had to use this joke too many times. The Flames scored just as much as this guy did last night, except I'm single, so I shouldn't be scoring. The Flames should be. But yeah, this has definitely been an up and down, mostly down episode here, including one player in particular, and hopefully he's going to do fine, and we'll get back at it soon. So let's, I'm just delaying the inevitable here. Let's just bring up my notes here, and let's recap how games 19 to 24 has gone for the Calgary Flames in the 2019-20 NHL season here. So if we go back to, I'll bring my notes. If we go back to game 19, this happened on Thursday, November the 7th here. The Calgary Flames are at home, taking on the New Jersey Devils. Scotiabank Stadium, 7 p.m. puck drop here. This is a chance to take on the advantage of the lowly Devils here, because some thought they were going to be a little better this year. I thought so too, and they also had the first overall pick from this recent draft in Jack Hughes here. And actually, both teams, they started off strong here, but it was actually the Devils that scored first by the affirmation Jack Hughes past the 15.5-minute mark. So Jersey led 1-0 after the first period there. Second period, the Flames came back and they dominated the play here. And it was Derek Ryan just past the 3-minute mark, where actually he ties it up at the 3-minute mark first in the second period here to make it 1-1. But it's Nikita Gusev. He was a highly touted player that didn't want to play in the Vegas Golden Knights system here. So another reason why there were more expectations on the Devils here, including getting PK Subban as well. So it was Nikita Gusev that gave the Devils a 2-1 lead here, 2.5 minutes later after Derek Ryan tied it up. However, despite that, Calgary was still the better team in the second period here, and it was Sean Monahan that tied the game up at 2-2 just before the 10-minute mark. And then Michael Backlund, who also was one of our better checking forwards here, gives the Flames the first lead 5 minutes later. And then Noah Hannafin, the defenseman, who definitely had a big game, scored just with 14 seconds to go in the second period here. So the Flames were up 4-2 after the second period here. Third period, the Flames had one more via Johnny Gaudreau at the 10-minute mark. And then Calgary eventually took this game 5-2 here. So things were looking good here early. Who led the way? Well, Noah Hannafin led the way. Probably has the most productive game as a Calgary Flames since coming over from the Carolina Hurricanes with a goal and assist. Michael Backlund, Johnny Gaudreau, and Sean Monahan all each had a goal and assist there. Jack Hughes for the Devils led the way with a goal and assist of his own here. Calgary also outshot the New Jersey Devils convincingly 38-23 here. Dave Riddick, who was a net for Calgary, made 21 saves, while Mackenzie Blackwood made 33 saves for New Jersey here. So things were looking good to start off this segment here. However, things started turning for the worse here. So that was game 19. We were taking on one of the bottom teams in the league right now, game 20. This happened on Saturday, November 9th. This was at home. We were taking on the defending Stanley Cup champion, St. Louis Blues. That was an 8 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Salem at Hockey Night in Canada here. So this is a good test to see where we rank against one of the top teams, defending champs. And oh yeah, I should also mention they've won 6 in a row coming into this game. And St. Louis, they struck first early here, as in past the 3-minute mark. It was Ivan Barbashev who scored to give the Blues a 1-0 lead here. And that's how the first period ended, as both teams actually looked well here, but St. Louis struck first, that goal there. And that's how things ended. Second period, the Flames kept up the play, and we were keeping up with the St. Louis Blues there. However, it was Ryan O'Reilly, last year's Conn Smythe winner, put St. Louis up 2-0 past the 13-minute mark, and it was 2-0 for St. Louis after 2 periods. And I'm going to start staying in typical Calgary Flames fashion when I'm talking about going back in the third period here. If you've been following along here this season here, the Flames seem to like to get behind and then play catch-up here. And playing catch-up is what they did here in the third period here. First, I'm going to start calling him Mr. Clutch. Matthew Tkachuk here at the time scored his 10th goal of the season. Puts Calgary on the board just past the 11-minute mark. And then defenseman Travis Hamonic. He picked the right time to score his first goal of the season. 5 minutes later, so now we have the game tied at 2-2 here. And this one needed overtime. However, in overtime here, the St. Louis Blues took advantage of a TJ Brodie penalty here. And it was David Perron of the St. Louis Blues who scored the winner at 2:46 for the St. Louis Blues to take this game 3-2 here. And all we could say salvage is that we were able to come back and take a point against the defending Cup champions here. So you can maybe call this one a moral victory here, but there's no extra calling for that. Calgary did outshoot the St. Louis Blues by a small margin of 29-28 here, including each team having a 2-2 advantage in overtime here. No one had a multi-point game for the Calgary Flames. However, St. Louis was led by Ryan O'Reilly and Dave Perron. They each had a goal and assist, and Alex Pietrangelo chipped in with 2 assists for the Blues there. Dave Riddick, he made 25 saves for the Calgary Flames, and Jordan Binnington, the goalie who led the Blues to the Stanley Cup, made 27 saves. So that was game 20 here. So the Flames actually had a couple days off here, so they did not play game 21 until Wednesday, November 13th. They were finishing up their homestand here as they were taking on the Dallas Stars. This was a 7:30 puck drop at the Scotiabank Salem here, and all I could say this one is that the first period looked tentative as nothing really stood out. So there was no scoring on either side here, so it was 0-0 after the first period here. Second period, Joe Pavelski, who was recently signed by the Dallas Stars after spending his whole career up to this point with the San Jose Sharks. He opens up the scoring past the 3-minute mark, and eventually that was the only goal in the second period. So it was 1-0 Dallas after 2 periods there. After the first period here, never mind. So after the second there. No scoring in the first, and it was Joe Pavelski that opened up the scoring in the second period. So she also mentioned that Dallas did come out stronger in the second period, and Tim Talbot, who actually started in this game, he looked great. So thankfully we were only down 1-0 there for your second period. Once I got back on track here, sometimes when you make your notes, sometimes you lose the way here. So that's going into the third period here. The Calgary Flames came out better, but Dallas got another goal at the 6.5-minute mark. It was Justin Dowling that scored, so it was 2-0 Dallas here. However, Calgary did finally get back on the board here as Sean Monahan scored at about the 10-minute mark. Sean Monahan seems to like to score in the middle of the period here, so it was a 2-1 game here. However, the Flames, they were looking for the equalizer here, but was unsuccessful as eventually Joe Pavelski scored the empty netter with 1.5 minutes left. So it was a 3-1 Dallas game, and ultimately the Flames lost this one 3-1 here. Dallas also outshot the Calgary Flames 32-25, including 18-6 in the second period there. That was the big period for the St. Louis, or the Dallas Stars there. They led the way, well, obviously Joe Pavelski, who had 2 goals there. Cam Talbot was in net. He made 29 saves there, and fortunately he wasn't rewarded a win there after bailing him out in the second period. And it was Ben Bishop who made the 24 saves for the Dallas Stars here. So this game was the end of their homestand here. So as the Calgary Flames were about to prepare to go on the road trip for the weekend here, the following afternoon, unfortunately, Calgary Flames defenseman TJ Brodie collapsed on the ice that afternoon. He was taken to local hospital, but he was released that same night there. So it was Thursday afternoon. The incident happened, and TJ Brodie medical staff were there on practice to look at him, take him to the hospital, and he was, got sent home that night to go home and rest here. He's out indefinitely, so we don't know what's actually really caused it or what happened, but all tests came back negative, so there's nothing neurological, or some thought there was he had a little seizure there, but he's resting at home. Flames taking all precautions here. Yeah, I remember seeing a video that Eric Francis reported that apparently TJ Brodie was complaining of some dehydration just for practice because he was looking for an energy bar and something to drink before practice there, and so there's no definitive story on A, what made him collapse, and B, when he'll be back here, as obviously after this collapse here, he wasn't going to accompany the team on the road trip here, so they called up Oliver Shillington from Stockton here, as actually he was sent down, and they had Brandon Davidson around here, so as I say, best wishes to TJ Brodie on his recovery here, and hopefully he gets back here soon. And it's definitely a scary incident, and Flames were obviously a little shaken by it, and obviously practice was shut down after that incident there. So yeah, thoughts to TJ Brodie. I mean, he has a young family too, so like I say, all indications are he's doing well. Just take all the precautions, and hopefully he'll be back soon here. So after that, there were still some games to be had here. So game 22, this happened on Saturday, November 16th. The Calgary Flames were going to spend the weekend in the desert here, as it was a 2 p.m. puck drop at the Gila Arena. So this was an afternoon game, and as I mentioned, Oliver Shillington drew back into the lineup. He was taking the spot of TJ Brodie after his situation there. Calgary and Arizona looked even in the first period there, so no scoring here. However, the second period, let's say things got interesting here, and maybe the way how the standings are looking right now, Flames and Coyotes games are actually going to be more interesting here this season here. Second period, first Arizona got scored 2 quick goals under 2 minutes apart here. First, Derek Stefan past the 6.5 minute mark, scores the first goal for Arizona, and then Carter Soderberg just before the 8.5 minute mark, so it was 2-0 Arizona there. And it stayed that way until things got really silly here. As we're going into the final seconds of the second period here, you can tell Johnny Gaudreau was definitely frustrated the way his season's going here, and he actually doesn't take too many penalties. This was in the Arizona end, near the Arizona goalie, Darcy Kemper. So Johnny Gaudreau, he did cross-check Jason Demers, and on the delayed penalty here call, Matthew Tkachuk was near Darcy Kemper, and Darcy Kemper definitely took exception to that and clobbered Matthew Tkachuk, and obviously a brawl ensues. Mark Giordano comes in, gets roughed up by Jason Demers, who was also involved with Darcy Kemper, and David Riddick. He came out of his net to come join in, and ultimately we almost had Darcy Kemper Dave Riddick fight here. So obviously there were penalties dished out here. So double minor went to Darcy Kemper for the roughing penalty. Same with Magic Kachuk here. Johnny Goudreau got the initial penalty on his cross-check on Jason Demers, but then Jason Demers got his penalty for roughing on Mark Giordano here, and then David Riddick eventually got a penalty for leaving the crease there. All this happened at the 1948-minute mark of the second period here. So you could definitely go see Calgary versus Arizona. That'll be the first video to come up as of this recording here. Oh yeah, Arizona did lead 2-0 after the second period there after that silly incident. Third period, there was no puck luck. Continued for Calgary here. Cooler heads prevailed. Well, I mean, the only penalty I can highlight here is that Lawson Crouse did take a double minor for roughing on Rasmus Anderson on a scrum, but that was the only penalty in the third period here. However, Lawson Crouse actually struck again because he actually scored the empty net goal with 7 seconds to go here. So the Calgary Flames got shut out by the Arizona Coyotes 3-0 here. And actually it was Lawson Crouse, the only player that got a multi-point game, the goal and assist here. But the brawl, I guess you could say, was the highlight late in the second period. There was actually no fines or suspensions that came out of this. It was just, good old-fashioned brawl, and penalties need to be dished out. But, no harm, no foul. It just got silly there, especially when David Riddick came out of his net and say, hey, don't mess with my Flames here. I'm going to dance with you, Darcy Kemper. Speaking of, and then, as I say, I'll get to Darcy Kemper here shortly here, but the Calgary Flames actually outshot the Arizona Coyotes 37-24 here. Dave Riddick, he made 27 saves for Calgary, and Darcy Kemper, who made all 37 saves for Arizona, and actually recently he's had Calgary's number because he's had back-to-back shutouts against the Calgary Flames as a starter here. So yeah, he gets a shutout and picks up 4 penalty minutes there. I don't know if that's kind of the Gordie Howe hat trick for goalies there. So that was game 22. So game 23, this happened on the next day, on Sunday, November the 17th. The Calgary Flames are in Las Vegas to take on the Vegas Golden Knights at the T-Mobile Arena, 5 p.m. puck drop here, and let's see if the house can get beaten here, because actually the Calgary Flames have yet to win in Vegas since the Golden Knights have joined the league here. Do we say a T-Mobile Arena curse is coming here? We'll see what happens. But once again, the Calgary Flames, they had a strong effort to start here. However, it was William Karlsson for the Golden Knights. He opened up the scoring at the 10.5-minute mark. So Vegas had a 1-0 lead after one here. So it was 1-0 there. However, Vegas added to the lead when Paul Stastny passed the 9.5-minute mark. Makes it 2-0 here. Once again, the Flames aren't getting any puck luck here for the second straight game. And Marc-Andre Fleury, the goalie for the Golden Knights, is looking strong again. Third period, the Flames definitely looked flat, and the Golden Knights definitely took advantage of it. First, past the 8-minute mark, Max Pacioretty scores to make it 3-0 there. And then 3 more goals happened in 3 minutes here after the Pacioretty goal. As you had Cody Eakin, then Mark Stone, who's Michael's brother, Flames defenseman, and then William Karlsson again scores the second of the game. So just like that, it was 6-0 for the Vegas Golden Knights, and that's how it ended here. So Calgary was shut out for the second straight game, and Flames scored just as much as I did this past weekend here. So the Vegas Golden Knights also outshot the Calgary Flames 37-34 here. Let's see, William Karlsson led the way with 2 goals and assists here. However, Nate Schmidt, he actually chipped in with 4 assists of his own here. And then Max Pacioretty had a goal and assist here. It was actually Cam Talbot who started in net on the back-to-back situations. He made 31 saves, while Marc-Andre Fleury made 34 saves in the shutout for the Vegas Golden Knights here. So that was game 23 here. Game 24, the last game of this 6-game segment here. The Flames went back home here, and things are definitely not getting easier, as on Tuesday, November the 19th, the Calgary Flames were taking on the Colorado Avalanche. That was a 7 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome here. I call this one looking at the right things and to score a freaking goal here. However, it didn't look good early. As the past 3-minute mark, Andrei Burakovsky scored to make it 1-0 for Colorado here. Calgary was showing some effort with rejuggled lines here, but no goals here. However, Andrei Burakovsky, once again, he actually strikes again late in the first period there. So at the 18-minute mark, so it's 2-0 Colorado after the first period there. And we're definitely getting those familiar feelings that we got in April there when we took these guys on in the playoffs here. Second period, Colorado came back even stronger. Past the 13-minute mark, Vladislav Kadynov scores for Colorado to add to it. So it's 3-0 for Colorado here. However, that's how things stood until Derek Ryan. He finally broke the goalless drought as Calgary almost went 3 games when you look back to the Dallas game. The last time we scored a goal here at the 17.5-minute mark of the second period. So it was 3-1 for Colorado after the second period here. Mentioned that Calgary was without Sam Bennett. Travis Hamonic was not available at game time, so Brandon Davidson made his season debut, and then they sent down Tobias Reeders of Stockton. So Calgary brought up Zach Rinaldo, the other tryout that we had at training camp here, to add some energy here. So there was definitely some new faces in the lineup here, hopefully to right the ship here. However, typical Calgary Flames fashion, we decided to try to make things interesting here in the third period here. Third period, actually the Flames were pushing back and eventually got within 1 here as Andrew Mangiapane scored past the 15.5-minute mark, and it's 3-2 for Calgary there. However, there was no miracles here as Calgary dropped their 5th straight game here, but at least scored not 1 but 2 goals in this game. But they still lost 3-2 here. Calgary did outshoot Colorado 33-26 in this game. It was Andrei Burakovsky who led the way with 2 goals, and Nathan MacKinnon. Yeah, he was definitely had a big series against us in April there. Well, he had 2 assists there. So I gotta wonder, Calgary, Colorado, could this be one of the things that's ailing the Flames right now? Could this still be lingering with the Flames here, especially when we open the season with Colorado here? But that seems to be one question too. Dave Riddick, he made 23 saves for the Calgary Flames, and Colorado was getting healthier here as they got Philip Grubauer back. He made 31 saves for Colorado there. So where the Flames stand right now, it's not looking as good. Right now they have 10 wins, 11 losses, and 3 overtime shootout losses, which puts them 5th in the Pacific Division, and they're actually 1 point out of a playoff spot in the final wildcard spot, and they're actually right now a full 8 points behind Edmonton for the Pacific Division lead here. The Edmonton Oilers are actually turning things around here, but they're definitely aided by Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid here. So yeah, the Flames are still somewhat in the race here, but they're starting to fall behind, and are getting close to that American Thanksgiving mark too, where teams look at where they are, and do they realistically have a shot here? Because last year at this time, after 24 games, the Calgary Flames were 14-9-1, and they were first in the Pacific. They were turning things on, and that's when that was before the next couple episodes. If you go back to season 1 in this playlist, when I started asking, are we Stanley Cup contenders? I now have to start asking this question, what's wrong, and are we good enough to make the playoffs? Because I think we have enough talent to make the playoffs here, but the big thing is breaking that pattern of in, out, in, out, in. So you gotta wonder what's something that's just not right with the Flames here. And sick bay is starting to get full here. Already, well, we already knew that Yusuf Valimaki was on the long-term injury reserve, and don't know if we'll get to see him all the season, but we knew that coming into the season here. However, Arsen Zarnik, he's still on the long-term injury reserve, thinking maybe we'll get him back in time for Christmas. And actually, as of this recording, Sam Bennett was also recently put on long-term injury reserve, because we've been without Sam Bennett here the last few games, so that definitely lost some grit here. I mean, that's, and then of course TJ Brodie, and don't know when he'll be back, but as long as health comes first there after that scary incident here. So yeah, we're starting to accumulate some injuries here too, because already, well, Tobias Rear was put on waivers, no one claimed him, and he was still on the team. He actually got sent down, and we brought up Zach Ronaldo, as I mentioned, for the last game. Now with Sam Bennett on the long-term injury reserve, they actually called up Tobias Rear back from Stockton, and then also we still have Brandon Davison around, Oliver Shillington. Actually, we also called up Alexander Yellowson, the free agent signer we had from the KHL that looked pretty good in preseason. So there's definitely going to be some new faces here within the organization here, but you know, sometimes you got to wonder with where we are right now, could a shake-up could happen with any player personnel, or someone might get benched, because the offense definitely has gotten dry, and you know, something's just not right now, but we're also right up against the cap here. So enough with where we are right now. Let's look ahead here to the next 6 games, which will be the next episode here as we wrap up November and start going into December here. As game 25, the Calgary Flames go back on the road here, as the Grey Cup is here in Calgary and the Grey Cup Festival, so the Saddle's going to be used for part of that. So game 25 on Thursday, November 21st. The Calgary Flames go take on the St. Louis Blues in St. Louis at the Enterprise Center. That's a 6 p.m. puck drop here. And then on Saturday, November 23rd, the Calgary Flames are going to take on the Philadelphia Flyers at the Wells Fargo Center. That'll be 11 a.m. Mountain puck drop here. And then on game 27 on Monday, November the 25th, the Calgary Flames will be in Pittsburgh to take on the Pittsburgh Penguins at the PPG Paints Arena. That'll be a 5 p.m. puck drop here. However, we'll only get a slight break, because that Sidney Crosby is still out with his injury and surgery there, so we're not going to get to face Sidney Crosby that game, but Pittsburgh still has some firepower up front there. Game 28, this is on Wednesday, November the 27th. The Calgary Flames will be in Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Sabres at the KeyBank Center. That'll be a 5 p.m. puck drop here. And then game 29, after being on the road for 4 games, the Calgary Flames come back home on Saturday, November 30th, as we host the Ottawa Senators here. And before you think that's a free space on the bingo card, actually the Ottawa Senators, they've actually been playing better than expected, considering the very low expectations here. That'll actually be a 5 p.m. puck drop on Hockey Night Canada here, so let's not take the Ottawa Senators lightly here. Then game 3, which will be the last game before we do the next episode, will happen on Thursday, December the 5th here. So the Flames will have a few more days off here, because the Flames have still played more games than other teams that we're looking up on now. And there's a couple teams that we're still looking down that they're going to have to eventually, I mean, everyone plays their 82. But, you know, maybe a little break is what this team also needs. So, yeah, because they're going back on track on here. Thursday, December 5th, the Calgary Flames will be actually take on the Buffalo Sabres, this time at home at Scotiabank Saddledome at a 7 p.m. puck drop here. So that's how the Calgary Flames look. My Calgary Flames in 6 here. And I also forgot to mention here that last video there, I did put in my disclaimer that I thought I had a little more sunshine than I did the last video there, so I apologize if things got dark there, but maybe that was very symbolic of what was coming ahead here. But I try to use sunshine where possible when I make my videos, but now when it's after work that I make these videos, I have to use, you know, lights. Obviously you need lights to take the camera, but I just I had a little more sunshine here, and it was a little tougher to suddenly cut out, put the lights back on, make adjustments here. So I apologize for that in the last video here, but you know, got lights here, and hopefully this means things will actually get brighter for the Flames here, as looking at this next six game segment here, and going on the road here, it's not looking that much easier because St. Louis Blues are still tough, and then you got the Pittsburgh Penguins. Philadelphia Flyers have been picking it up here, and the Buffalo Sabres, they're still up and down here, but you know, they're not going to be a pushover, and let's not underestimate the Ottawa Senators there. So hopefully things will start getting better. We've hit rock bottom, especially at that Vegas game here. I mean, there was a couple games we had a nice effort, just not having got any puck luck. But who knows what's ailing this team right now? But hopefully things will get better soon here. So anyway, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, I mean, I do this recapping Calgary sports here. Just make sure you like, subscribe. I also do the odd personal vlog and attempt at comedy, and I share senior videos and moments of sporting events here, and there'll probably be a few of that with the upcoming 107th Grey Cup here, so there'll be a few moments here to share. But if this sounds like everything you like, just make sure you like, subscribe. I'm actually, as of this recording, one more away to get that magical 100 subscribers. They say the first 100 is hard to get, and I'm almost there, and hopefully my growth will be exponential. This is fun to do this, but you know, might be nice to maybe make a little coin on the side if I ever get there. So anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Go Flames go, and get well, TJ Brodie, and let's turn this thing around and get back in the hunt here, as I'd like to have more than just a few games in the playoffs here. That's what I want to ask here. So I'll talk to you again soon.